So some of the underlying causes and factors that can contribute to separation anxiety, some of these things you might have heard of before. So if you think about a baby, so around the 6 months of age, babies may start to show signs of anxiety when their parent or caregiver leaves. They might start to become clingy or start crying, and that's a really normal aspect of development. But by the age of around 3, they tend to kind of grow out of that. However, separation anxiety can sometimes indicate that children are recognizing their reliance on their caregiver, and they're gaining an awareness of their surroundings. So they feel comfortable and secure in those environments that they know and the people that they know. So in situations where they feel less secure, so it might be a new environment or they've got a new caregiver, so it might be their school teacher or a nursery teacher, or even if it's a case where their caregiver is not nearby with them in an unfamiliar environment, that's when they might start to feel really, really anxious about it. So for babies, losing sight of their caregiver can be really quite distressing sometimes, as they're very young, they're babies, they don't know that, you know, mum or dad or whoever the person is, they're going to come back. You know, they may fear permanent separation. So when toddlers are separated from their parents or carers, they may see it as being left behind in a sense, and you know, may potentially question, are they going to come back for me? But as a result, with time and with support and with love, and once they start to learn that mum or dad is coming back at the end of the day, if they're at nursery, for example, when they start to learn to cope with those separations, when they're, like I say, when they're consistently feeling loved and understood and supported and comforted by their parents or carers, they will start to be a bit more kind of relaxed about it and find going into unfamiliar environments a bit easier to navigate, because they will start to learn and have that understanding that someone is going to come back and get me. Mummy is coming back, daddy is coming back. But it's important to really kind of note that the intensity of separation anxiety will vary amongst children. So some children might be really, really anxious, and they might need a little bit more time and a little bit more support to be able to settle down into their new environment. And there's some children might need a little bit of support, a little bit of a cuddle every now and again if they're not feeling too great or they're a bit anxious about it. But it will vary, like adults, like how adults are different, children are different too. And so we've talked about intensity, and the levels of separation anxiety can also vary. So some young children may initially get upset when their parents or carers leave, but they're able to then engage and play with other children or other toys, etc. But as mentioned, some might find it really, really difficult. And in some cases, that the known or the more so conventional methods of comfort may not necessarily work for them. In some certain circumstances, the fear of separation can become so intense for the child that what you might notice is the child might become quite hypervigilant, so that they might constantly keep an eye on their parents or carers' whereabouts, or if they're in their classroom, every time the classroom doors that opens, they're looking to see if it's their mum or dad come back. So or it may be a case of when parents are trying to drop them off for the day, they don't want them to leave, they hang on to their trousers or their clothing. So in such cases, the child may struggle to enjoy like things like playtime or social interactions without their parent or carer being there. But however, that might be a more kind of intense situation or a more rare case. But really, it's the response that, you know, how children tend to respond to quite anxiety-inducing situations like that transition from nursery to school, etc. As they get older, you might find that the anxiety lessens, because as part of that growth and that development, they do learn how to manage, and how they do start to learn and manage their anxiety.